I'm at home right now, and there's no sign of my husband. It feels like he's lying to me. Let me explain. My name is Ashley, and I was pregnant with our first child in our second year of marriage, with just 1 month left before my due date. I was 9 months pregnant. I was excited about the baby, but also nervous about giving birth and being a first-time mom. I had planned to go back to my parents' house to get some help for a while, and I mentioned this to my husband earlier in my pregnancy, but I think he forgot, so I brought it up again today. As we were watching TV, my husband casually said, "Oh, going back to your parents. I think you mentioned that. If you're going, just go. I won't have any trouble without you here." I was shocked by his careless attitude, but I didn't want to argue, so I let it go. Well, I'm going back this weekend. I'll be giving birth next month, and I plan to stay with my parents for 1 or 2 months. I'll be back in about 3 months. Please make sure the room is ready for the baby. He responded, Yeah, I would have done it anyway, but I can't see you off this weekend. I have to work. I was disappointed. I had hoped he would at least come with me to the train station, but that hope was crushed. I knew he was a workaholic and often worked on weekends, but I wished he could think about how hard it is for many months pregnant and carrying heavy luggage. While I understand that he's busy, I still feel lonely sometimes. I don't want our baby, who's coming soon, to feel lonely too. Lately, I've been anxious about whether we'll be able to raise our child together like this. It's not just my child, it's ours. When did my husband become so distant? With these confusing emotions, I started packing my things. Since I was getting ready to go back to my parents' house, I decided to send my luggage, except for valuables, through a delivery service. I had hoped to welcome our baby into a clean house, so when I started maternity leave early, I cleaned everything from top to bottom. They say pregnant women get a nesting instinct, and I definitely felt that. I set up the baby's crib and made space for our new life as a family of 3-4 when I returned in about 2.5 months. But my husband didn't seem to care. He kept messing up the areas I had cleaned. Maybe I cleaned too early, but he acted like he was still living alone. He'd leave half-finished bottles of drinks lying around and cardboard boxes from online orders everywhere. Now that I think about it, I've never seen him cook or clean since we got married. Despite my efforts to tidy up, the house only became more cluttered, and I started worrying about whether it would be okay while I was gone. The weekend arrived quickly, and I left for my parents' house. My husband, as usual, went to work without even seeing me off at my parents' home. We kept in touch pretty well at first. We exchanged emails daily, and I'd call him every few days, but soon, he started answering less and less. When I asked why he wasn't picking up, he'd just say things like, "Oh, I've been busy," or "Not really." I joked, "You're not cheating on me, right? I've heard some men cheat when their wives are pregnant." He sounded annoyed and said, "Why would I do that? It's annoying to be doubted." His irritated tone made me cautious, so I quickly apologized, saying, "Sorry, I shouldn't have said that." I knew it wasn't good for me to have these unnecessary worries while carrying our precious baby, so I decided to trust him. Then, a few weeks later, my labor pains started. As I was preparing to go to the hospital, I called my husband. Even though I felt awkward about him seeing me in pain, I wanted him to be there for the birth of our child. Surely, seeing our baby born would move him. The labor had started. I told him, "It usually takes about half a day for the first baby to be born, so you have time to make it. I really want you to be there when the baby is born. You can't even cut the umbilical cord." When I told my husband that I wanted him to come for the birth, he sighed in frustration. "You want me to come by train right now? Sorry, I'm tired, and I have work tomorrow." I couldn't believe it. "You're still talking about work. Our child is about to be born. How is work still your priority?" He snapped, "Shut up. There's no one else who can do my job. If I don't do it, the work won't get done. Don't you get that? I'm busy. I'm hanging up." I tried to convince him, but it didn't matter. Hung up. Tears ran down my face as I endured the labor pains. Why was my husband so cold and uninterested in our child's birth? From the moment I knew I was pregnant, I put our baby first, but he, as a father, didn't seem to care at all. So, I gave birth to our son all alone. The labor lasted a full day, and the next day, a cute little boy was born. He was so tiny and precious. After leaving the hospital, my parents showered him with love and helped me learn how to care for him. By the time a month passed, I had gotten pretty good at bathing the baby. My parents were worried about me. "Are you sure you're okay with a husband like that? We can't stop worrying about what will happen when we leave." Not wanting to worry them, I said, "I think I can manage. I'm feeling better than I thought, so I might go back home next week." They replied, "Don't push yourself. Let us know if anything happens." People say a woman's body after childbirth is like someone who's been in a car accident. But thanks to my hormones, I felt good and my body was recovering. I was getting used to caring for my baby, so I decided to go back home earlier than planned. During my time at my parents' house, my husband hardly contacted me. Even when I sent him photos and videos of our son, he didn't seem to care much. I figured maybe he'd feel like a father once he actually spent time with the baby. That thought kept me going as my parents drove me back home. I didn't tell my husband I was coming home early, but since it was his day off, I expected him to be there. I wondered how he would react to seeing our baby for the first time, with our child like our home. After a long drive, we finally arrived. I was carrying my baby, while my parents brought in the luggage. When I unlocked the door, the house was dark and silent. "We're home, a bit early, but we're back," I called out, but there was no answer. As we walked into the living room, a horrible smell hit us. I turned on the light, and the sight was shocking. The room was a complete mess, like a garbage dump. Dirty dishes and half-eaten pizza were piled in the sink. Clothes and trash were scattered everywhere, and mold floated in half-full juice cups. The table was stained and filthy, and black mold covered the bathroom and shower. The toilet stank, and worst of all, the baby crib was filled with unused cardboard boxes and trash bags. I had asked my husband to keep the house clean to welcome our baby, but it was anything but clean. I was in disbelief. "We can't live in this filthy place, and especially not with a baby," I said, upset. My parents were furious and searched the house for my husband, but he was nowhere to be found. Where could he be on his day off? I wondered. He often claimed to work on weekends, but now I was starting to doubt whether that was true. His job doesn't pay extra for weekend work, and the company usually follows a normal schedule. It seemed suspicious. "Let's try calling him," I suggested. We couldn't stay in the dirty house any longer, so we stepped outside, and I called my husband. He didn't answer the first 2 times, but finally paid up on the 3rd try. "Hey, where are you right now?" I asked. "I'm at home, sleeping." "Why?" he replied. At home, we had searched the entire house, and he was definitely not there. For a second, I wondered if he could be buried under the piles of trash, but that was ridiculous. His voice didn't even sound like he had just woken up. Then, I heard it, a woman's voice in the background. I couldn't hear what she said, but it was clear my husband was with another woman. At that moment, everything became clear. He was cheating on me, while neglecting our baby and leaving the house in a terrible state. He was off with someone else. Anger surged through me. This man was no longer needed in our lives. If he liked the other woman so much, he could have her. I was done with him. I thought, how could anyone live in a house so disgusting, with such a rotten smell? Then sarcastically, I added, maybe a burglar came in. I should call the police. "You're at your parents' house, right? What are you talking about?" my husband said, sounding confused. My anger boiled over, and I raised my voice. "You're the one lying. You said you were at home, but you're not, and turning the baby's crib into a trash dump. That's unacceptable. I'm not coming back, and we're getting a divorce." I hung up the phone after saying that. I was so angry that I decided to report the burglary to the police. Just to punish him, I told my parents to take my son back to their house, while I stayed behind, waiting for my husband to show up. Soon, the police arrived before he did. I welcomed them into the house like they were guests. A little while later, I saw my husband walking up the street, and unbelievably, he had a woman with him. My husband had a guilty look on his face. "Hey, you weren't supposed to be back until next month," he said nervously. I glanced at the woman next to him, who was glaring at me with her arms crossed. "Who is she?" I asked, feeling strangely calm. The woman snapped back, "And who are you?" As I questioned her, I learned that my husband had been hiding his marriage from her the entire time. I was so disgusted by him that I didn't even know how to react anymore. "At least hear me out," my husband said, trying to grab my shoulder, but I slapped his hand away. "Don't touch me. It's disgusting," I said. "The police are inside checking the house. You should be embarrassed. I'm leaving, and you can't explain everything to them. Goodbye." With that, I left, heading back to my parents' house. My husband and the woman stood there, dumbfounded. Later that night, he called me several times, but I ignored him. When I finally answered, he sounded defeated. He had explained the situation to the police, who had seen the filthy state of the house. It must have been humiliating for him. After being dumped by the woman he had lied to, all he had left was his shame and the mess he had created. "I'm sorry," he pleaded. "Come back. I want to see our son." If he really meant it, he should have come to my parents' house. Thinking that a phone apology could fix everything just showed how terrible he was. "You weren't even there when I gave birth, even though I asked you to come," I reminded him. "I thought you knew I would," he mumbled. "I'll clean up the house. I can't do anything without you. I need you." I could hear him getting more desperate as I refused to forgive him. "It's not happening. If you can't handle the house, have that woman help you." That was just a fling. It didn't mean anything. "You're the only one for me, Ashley," he begged. "A fling? You were with her every time you claimed you had to work overtime," I snapped. After pressing him, my husband finally admitted that he had been cheating on me with several women. He had reconnected with at a friend's wedding. He was a complete scumbag. "There's no point in talking anymore," I said, feeling disgusted. His desperate apologies made me feel sick. "You disgust me. Were you really planning to touch our son with those hands? Unthinkable." "I won't do it again. I'll come pick you up right now. I want to see you and our son. I'll prove I'm serious. Let's go home together," my husband said, sounding determined. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What was he thinking? At this point, I couldn't trust him anymore. "There's nothing left to talk about. I'll raise our son on my own," I replied firmly. "Ashley, please forgive me," he started to say, but I hung up before he could finish. The silence after the call ended felt hollow, and just like that, our short marriage was over. It's been half a year since then. I decided to start working again, relying on my parents for help. Once I save up enough money, I plan to move out and live with my son on our own. I'm still in the middle of divorce negotiations, mainly to make sure I get alimony. My husband, who doesn't know how to live on his own, is struggling. He eats out most of the time, and his house is a mess, but that's not my problem anymore. Now, I'm focused on doing my best for my son and giving him all the love he deserves.